All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, welcome on in, everybody. NorCal Sports Network, and this is a long day here for the San Francisco 49ers. And it's going pretty much as I expected, with the Niners down 24-10, about to be 31-10, as the Packers are put away from punching it in. We welcome in Lou Marston, who's probably about a minute ahead of me. So I'm, behind here because my streaming is about a good minute behind. So right now we've got a timeout, still second and a half yard to go for the clinching TD. I think this game was pretty much over a long time ago. I think the game was over when they announced Brandon Allen as the quarterback. This guy's not good.
I thought some of the play calling was pathetic.
Oh, the play calling's pathetic.
The fourth down where they threw a short pass. I mean, it was so obvious what they're doing. They have no imagination on fourth down plays. Again, hot night through butter. Our defensive line, they're going right through them, and they're not playing with any heart. It's almost like they've given up on the season.
Oh, yeah. Right now it's 31-10. They punched it in.
Yep.
And, 49ers. Now let's see if Ding Dong Kyle will actually go with a hurry-up offense down 3 scores now. He needs 3 touchdowns. It's actually not completely impossible. It's got about a less than 1% chance, but you have no chance if you huddle up. You have to score. There's 11 minutes to go in the game, 10:59 if you want to be precise. And the 49ers basically need to score a touchdown with 8 minutes or more on the clock.
Yeah, that's the only way.
And they have 3 minutes to score a touchdown. You got to get the ball back, hold them 3 and out, score again with like 4 minutes left, and then you have a possibility. But
Dan, you're starting to talk like one of my favorite albums of all time, a little Supertramp. You're dreaming. I mean, these 49ers can't do this. Maybe the old 49ers can, but not, like I said, our coaching, our play calling, again, our DBs really hurt. And I know without Purdy, they're different, but the play calling was so bad. I don't even know. Let me take a look. Have we run for 20 yards on the whole game?
Let me take a look. Mason had 16, and then we haven't seen him again.
Okay, yeah, 14 for 52. Yeah, well, that's because Mason had a good run. You know how it is.
He knows it. Look, he gets one run, and then he actually runs better than McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Let's see what the Niners have in total yards rushing. They have 52 yards. McCaffrey has 31 on 11 carries, 2.8. Mason, 1 carry. If I'm Jordan Mason, I'm like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to play? I mean, what a joke. And this Debo.
The other thing with a certain, what happened to Ricky? Is he not a wide receiver anymore?
How about Debo? I think he needs to lock in.
1 reception, but I mean, all we heard is how great Ricky is. He's coming back, game 4. Oh, he's ready. He doesn't even have 1 reception. I didn't even see him out there with the offense.
Oh, he's been out there. He's been out there, but they haven't.
Have they made an attempt to him? I know he ran the ball back.
They had one attempt to him, but it was one attempt that he wasn't looking, or he ran it. I mean, his route he changed his route, went upfield more, and Allen threw it underneath. Now this is a just a very flawed team. You know, they're going to be 5-7. They're not winning next week in Buffalo. And
they'll be lucky to even stay within 14 points of Buffalo in the first half. I mean,
Buffalo will smoke them. And
you could see just the meter, that, like I said, the fourth down call to begin the third quarter was huge. It was a momentum thing. And it was so funny because Brady goes, all right, they're only going to throw to 3 people. That's it. They're only going to throw to 3. And, of course, what did they do? They did exactly that.
That was the killer, the opening half kickoff. They called holding. I think you can call pretty much holding any play you really want to in the NFL, because I think everybody's got a hold of something. You can call it, and
I know, but on a huge play, they throw to McCaffrey. He's double teamed. Even if he catches, it's not a first down. So why do you call that play? Just awful. This team couldn't beat girls flag football today. That's the mentally they weren't there.
There you go, McCaffrey. That's a good play. I know you're ahead of me, but he fumbled. He was down, though, wasn't he? Didn't the ground cause that? Let's see. Replay. Nope, it's a fumble.
Yep. Another mental error. I mean, to tell you the truth, the way they're playing, they're lucky they're only down 21.
Yeah, what?
That's not a mental error. That's a physical error.
Yeah, that one's a physical. Yeah, it's a done
mentally,
season.
Mentally, they're not even ready. They're not out there mentally. Now they're going to Buffalo. Oh,
yeah, it's over. We welcome in Los, and we'll put the dagger in this team. They're done. It's start to go for Tanner Mordecai. Here's what the 49ers need to do after they lose next week to Buffalo. Put Mordecai in, and Purdy's something's not right with Purdy. I noticed it a few weeks ago. The balls were fluttering. Why were they fluttering? Well, I think he's been playing with a hurt shoulder for a while. And you know what? I'm not paying him as much as I like Purdy. I'm not paying him I'm not extending him next year. I want to say, prove it to me in year 4. You prove it in year 4. And then you know what? I think we'll franchise you in year 5, and you prove it again. And then we'll offer you the long-term contract. Take us to the dance and win it. And you know what? If he just says he wants to walk because he doesn't, whatever. You don't have to pay these guys this amount of money. Look, Daniel Jones released. Who else has been awful that's gotten big contracts? How about Deshaun Watson? How about Detroit? I mean, Packers going for the kill today. I predicted 33-17. I guess it's going to be worse. But Los, there's a lot to be said about this team, but they look dead. They look done. And I know they're missing Purdy and Bosa and Williams today, but that wouldn't have made a big difference today.
Yeah, the reality is that, with people banged up, with Green Bay wanting blood after last year's playoff game, the Niners were going to have a really hard time winning this game. But there was a formula to win this game. There was. But the coaching staff didn't go that way. And the formula would have been to be a heavy dose of running the ball with McCaffrey, Guerrero, and Mason. Mason touched the ball one time and got 16 yards.
Yeah.
And then goes right back out. That's, if I'm Mason and I'm his agent, wow. I don't want to be in San Francisco as long as.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
But to start the game out and have, Brandon Allen actually throwing the ball just shows you the game plan was just not
they're
good.
They're so predictable on offense.
Yeah.
I thought they were so predictable. I told Dan the big key to the game, I thought it was a horrible play call in the third quarter when they went for it on 4th and 2. And I don't know if you heard it. Brady goes, they're only going to go to 3 players. They don't have an imagination. And they throw to McCaffrey, where even if he catches it, it's not even a first down.
No, that was the first down. He was beyond the line of scrimmage. Yeah, he was, Lou. It was a horrible pass. It was a horrible pass. Look,
you're throwing a lot on him.
I'm putting it on Kyle. Why are you starting a guy that hasn't played for 3 years?
The play calling all days went bad. The overall mood of the team. It's like they walked in, didn't think they could win it. And our defense, hot night through butter. So many missed tackles. It's amazing.
They've had plenty of.
And by the way, Los will be right. When they lose 4 straight, you can bring back the tape. When Los said, hey, they might lose 4 straight, the whole chat laughed at him.
Well, they're losing 3 straight when they lose next week. So the 4th game is going to be what, against the Bears? If they can't beat the Bears.
Well, they couldn't beat the Rams with no healthy players, or Arizona banged up, or Seattle, who's an average team. So that would fall right into the whole season. The Niners aren't what the Niners are. The Niners are an average team themselves. That's what people got to stop, considering.
I agree.
Well, they're a great team, so they should beat these average teams. No, the Niners are an average team with them. So it's not an upset. The point spread will probably be Niners -8 against the Bears. Bears are a very physical team, so I would not be shocked if they beat them. But, I know the Niners, it looks bad. They gave up 31 points, but I thought without Bosa, without, Mooney, without Greenlaw, I thought the defense didn't play overly horrible today. They held Jordan Love to 9 of 19 for 101 yards as of 5-10 minutes ago. But the difference is Matt LaFleur committed to the running game. Matt LaFleur committed to running the ball because it's colder weather. We're in November, December. That's when you run the ball. And Jordan Love is a better quarterback than Brandon Allen is, but for some reason, Kyle's game plan is we're going to come out with a quarterback that really is not very good, and we're going to throw the ball around. If he had committed to giving McCaffrey, Garendo, and Mason a bunch of carries and Allen throw when it's needed on 3rd downs, it would have been a closer game, and I think the Niners would have had an outside chance of winning it because you saw there were running lanes open, but that wasn't the game plan. So here we are.
Well, the other thing that this team lacks ingenuity. They're defensively, they're vanilla. Offensively, let me see this spot. Did he go? Yeah, he got the first. Okay. Here's the reality where the 49ers, as bad as they are playing, and they will lose next week and go 5-7. What they need to do is just rest Purdy until he's 100%.
Yeah.
You're not going to win next week with Purdy. So sit him. Hopefully another week he gets better. Bosa, hopefully rest him another week. Rest Williams. And you come back 5-7. It looks like the Seahawks are going to take down the Cardinals today. The Eagles play the Rams tonight. The division is not out of reach, even with 6 losses. So after they come back next week and they're 5-7, hear me out here. I don't think this will happen, but this is their only shot. Their only shot. Oh, there's another touchdown for the Packers. It's 38-10. The route is on. Watch him put Dobbs in now. Watch that. Your only chance is if somehow they regroup and they get to 7-7, okay? They beat the Bears and they beat the Rams at home.
and they're 7-7, and they're within a game of first place, let's say, because there's really no great team in the West. There's nobody running away with this. So you get to 7-7, and then you get the Dolphins, right? You go to Miami,
who are playing better,
right? And let's say you're able to somehow, the team gets it together and they can win that game, and they come home against Detroit. Your hope is that Detroit is at that point 14-1 and has wrapped up the NFC 1 seed, and somehow they say, you know what, we're not going to go all out. And then you somehow get lucky and beat Detroit, and then you've got a shot maybe against Arizona. But I don't think that's going to happen. It does, to me, appear that this looks like an 8-win team. Maybe they get 9. The only hope I give them is that at some point the championship, even though they're not not a Super Bowl champion, they're an NFC champion team, that somehow that heart kicks into some of these guys, and they say, we got to wake up, we got to go get it. That's the only chance they got. I just don't think they have it this year. It doesn't. It looks like you guys are right. This is not a good team.
If Arizona does in fact lose, unfortunately, it gives the Niners, like you said, hope, as little as it could be, a chance that they could still pull a San Francisco Giants mentality and find a way to squeeze into the playoffs. But it's a shame because they're going to bring back Greenlaw if that's the case. I would like Greenlaw to just take the whole year off and come back 100% next year. Because if he comes back to try to salvage this 500 team and get them to the playoffs, and he re-injures it again, that could be his career. So Arizona losing leaves a crack open. And the Niners are going to obviously try to do what they have to do to win the division. Even though
they got Mason in there. They got Mason in there now, and they're down four scores.
And nobody,
very good, Kyle.
Nobody in the media is going to ask him about it again because they don't hold him accountable whatsoever.
Yeah. Somebody said here, like Steven Ortega, Dan, why did you say this Niners team might be good in the preseason? Exactly what your sentence says. They might be.
I think most people had them as being
Steven,
a contender. Yeah,
they were the NFL odds. The odds makers had them as the top team to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
look, they were the top team by the odds makers to win the Super Bowl this year. So, I was wrong. What can I say? Things didn't work out, but there's a lot of things that you can look at. A lot of questions. Hangover, poor coaching, injuries.
Dan predicted this before Ayuk got hurt and before a lot of things happened. So it's easy to say that right now. I mean, there's no need to second guess, predictions way back then.
Yeah, I mean, look,
there's just no way. I mean, he had him, I think, 13-4. That might have been a little bit. I mean, if he had said 11-6, then I think that would have been like a little bit more.
Yeah, I went bold, but this is. I still think that there's guys with character on this team that will not quit, and they're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to get creative. I thought the play that they dialed up to Debo, the trick play, was finally Kyle did something different. The little flea flicker that was a wide receiver screen with the whole offensive line sitting out there leading the way. That was a good play. But, you take a look at this game, there's a lot of factors that could have changed the course of this game. The the missed interceptions. Bernardo Green had one. Jair Brown had one. Then you had the opening kickoff of the second half by Debo, and you had the holding call. Now, what happens if, it's what was it at halftime? They were down. What was the score? 17-7.
Yes, 17-7. Correct.
If they go in and score on that opening drive, it's 17-14. Could be a whole different game. But Debo's. I was just saying, Debo's, to me, he's cooked.
That interception was not on Allen. It was a good throw.
No, it was good.
That was on Debo. He's got to make that. He's got to make that catch.
He needs to lock in, right? Just like he told the kicker. He needs to lock in.
Yeah, he needs to lock in. Yeah.
Dan, I think you're being too nice on the Niners. I mean, this team we've been talking about for 3 weeks aren't the same team. They don't have the it factor. They're a dead team. This team's going nowhere. I think we're lucky to win 2 more games.
Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? I think they're going nowhere. They're done. For
the last 3 weeks we're doing it, but you keep saying if and if and if. I think the reality is this team has so much they need to improve on. It's incredible.
There's no doubt,
Lou. To the Super Bowl last year, when you really think about it, was it all breaks? We got lucky in the playoffs where we were down both games. I mean, this team's average at best. We can't even hold Detroit's jock. In fact, I don't even want to look at them. They're so much more superior than us. We have to face reality. Our run is done.
I pretty much said that. I just tried to put another twist on it and said their only chance after they go 5-7. I'm trying to point out that's their only chance because it's a very weak NFC West, and they have 5 remaining games with 4 of them being very winnable. And the tough game is Detroit. But if you catch Detroit on a night where they don't need the victory and you are on some kind of high because you've won 3 in a row, you beat Chicago, you beat the Rams, and you went to Miami and won, you have some momentum. Maybe you can get that. I'm just pointing that out. I don't think they're going there. In fact, I ended the sentence saying they probably finish 8-9.
Let me ask both of you and ask the chat this. Before the Super Bowl last year, I would say Kyle Shanahan's approval rating, if we're going to use a term like President of the United States, Kyle Shanahan's approval rating before the Super Bowl amongst the fans was probably 85 to 90% approved of his coaching. After the Super Bowl, I think it dropped to about 75. I think during this year, it is probably dropped to about 50. I have never seen so many people come out against Kyle as I've seen in the last few weeks. Like, people are starting to see some of the flaws that some of us have seen for a while. My question to both of you and to the chat is, do the 49ers organization see this? Does John Lynch see this? Does Jed York see this? Or are they going to just turn the other cheek, look the other way, and say, Kyle is still great. Kyle is still a genius. Let's bring him back for next year. What do you think?
Want me to start with me?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious because I've never seen in all my years since the double combo's been there, Batman, Robin, John Lynch, he's having a press conference seems like every other day. Oh, we trust him. Oh, we know he's a winner. Oh, he's this. You're the GM. Why are you talking like this? Unless you're under pressure. Maybe the owner's hearing, oh my God, Shannon's problem. The problem is we have a guy that has a high ceiling, supposedly such a great play caller, such a great winner. But guess what? He still has never won the big game. He's never really taken that big step, and again, injuries happen. All injuries happen in the NFL. But the Niners are going to be like the Giants. They're going to say, oh, if it wasn't for the injuries, we'd be a playoff team. No, we wouldn't. It's the personnel that we have. To tell you the truth, there we go. Sorry.
They're coming for you.
And are both to blame on where we're at. We don't have that great of personnel. We're old. We're now depending on Brock Purdy. That maybe there was a reason why he was Mr. Irrelevant. You know, he takes it, but it's not to the top level. I'm very frustrated because I think this team, when you look at the top maybe 5 teams in the league, we're not even close. And I know last year we made it to the dance, but I think also when you look at the playoffs, I think we got extremely lucky. And if both games weren't at home, I don't think we would have won either one.
I just think the players, not just the organization. When I've mentioned on the show that I think Kyle's losing the locker room, like the veterans that have been here a while.
Yep.
Like if you're Fred Warner and you're going against Jordan Mason in practice every day, you know how good he is. You know how physical he is. You're saying to yourself, damn, this dude is hard to bring down. And then you watch the game and you watch your head coach not use this guy. Like that doesn't common sense creep into your mind. What are you doing? You know, the questioning of his decision-making and his inability to pivot and change has got to be frustrating for a lot of the veterans on this team. And that's why I say, and by the way, I always have said, don't fire Kyle. I have always said there are, like we always hear, there are 20 teams lined up to get him. Great. Let's start a bidding war. Starts at 2 first-round picks.
We did a show on that. We did a show on that, Los, talking about trading him.
It starts there. It starts there. And if you bring in a new head coach, let's say it is Ben Johnson, who has a good offensive mind. Can you imagine Ben Johnson coming to this team and having 3 first-round picks to start? And if they hit on those, that's a quick way to turn around a team.
Yep.
3 first-round picks, and you hit on, even if you hit on 2 of the 3, like a Dressel line, please get a center and a right. When the season started this year, and I saw Kyle and the line coach Forster say, we are all in on McKivitz and Brendel. Dan, you know what I said. I said they're trash. Why are you want to win a Super Bowl and you have a D-graded center and a D-graded right tackle? That's not a formula to win a Super Bowl. And as it turns out, it's a formula to be a 500 team. They're not good players. DeAndre Campbell is not a good player. Like they're putting people on the field that are not very good. And, you know, if you listen to other content creators, you listen to 95.7, you listen to KNBR, this is what they say. They like them. They like them. Why? Like all of us that have 20/20 vision and sees these guys know they're not good. Why do they like players that are not that good? Why isn't Kyle and John Lynch asked these questions? I don't know. But it was a recipe. It was a recipe for a failure and a frustrating season, and that's how it's kind of turned out. So far.
The team just looks. Kyle looks like he's just tired and done. He just looks like he would like this season to finish. It's a bad season. I'll tell you, listening to Tom Brady, you know, he talked about the whole thing about talking about Mason getting more touches in the game and that they got to figure a way to work out. The thought came to me as I was listening to Brady, seems like he would be a good head coach. I think Brady would know what the heck's
he loves the Niners. He loves the Niners.
Why not go out and get Tom Brady? See if he can
grew up here. Yeah.
Oh, but he can't because now he's part owner of the Raiders.
That's
I forgot.
Right. That's
he can't.
right.
He's not going to be a Niner. He's not going to can't do that. He's part owner of the Raiders. Shoot.
Yeah, but
divest.
I think if Kyle did leave, I think it would be a good fresh start for Kyle too. There's a lot of pressure to be the coach of the San Francisco 49ers. It is an iconic organization. It is a team that is known for Super Bowls. At one time was 5-0. I think if they did split, hopefully by trade and not by firing, I think it would be good for Kyle. And I think it would be good for the Niners. Hey, sometimes you got a divorce. Sometimes it's getting old. It's getting stale. It's not working out. I still keep hearing people say Kyle's a great play caller. I'm one of the few people that, come on and challenge that. Like, I don't think he's that great of a play caller, because if he was, why on every show that's out there that involves the 49ers are we questioning his play calling? Go back to the first week of the season and go after every show, whether it's ours, whether it's others, and hear all the content. Damn, why is Kyle calling these plays? Why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he do that? And yet we still keep labeling him a great play caller. We got to stop labeling people great because of reputation. Pro sports is what have you done for me lately? And Kyle hasn't done anything lately with his play calling whatsoever. His great run game, I've mentioned this before. Did you see the second play of the game that the Packers ran? They ran a delayed trap up the middle for about 12 yards. Have you ever seen Kyle run that play in 8 years as a head coach? I haven't, and I watch every game. Kyle runs about 3 plays: outside zone to the left, outside zone to the right, and a couple of sweeps. He doesn't run a counter. He doesn't run a draw play. He doesn't run screens to the running back. So, I mean, like,
is it possible, Los, that we talk about Kyle's play calling? Is it possible that his personnel just got old quickly overnight and is no longer that? I mean, there's no quickness on the team.
No.
Who's a quick wide receiver?
We don't even have a wide receiver.
You got Jennings.
He's a little bit better than average. Jennings has played well, but he's not really a superior. We got Samuel, who's now can barely run. It seems like he doesn't have the speed anymore. We have a guy who supposedly is a great rookie of the year from Florida, who didn't get another reception this time. We're really behind the 8 ball compared to everybody else.
Well, they did the opposite of what Walsh's generation did, which is they allowed players to get old. Walsh did not allow that. He would not keep players when he saw them even beginning to decline. And because Walsh won Super Bowl, so he could afford to do that. So I will say that in this regime's defense, that they haven't won it, so they want to keep running it back with the same guys that have got them there. They just don't understand that those guys are not the same guys from 19 and 21 and even last year. They're not. So that's their own, mismanagement from that aspect as far as judging personnel.
Armando says, Los is so right. There was a formula to win this game, but my coach can't see past CMC. 1 carry by Mason and none by Garendo. Come on, Kyle. Yeah, thanks, Armando.
I heard somebody else say something interesting, so I'm not going to take credit for it. Somebody said Kyle likes to win the play and not the game. And I thought that was a very, very interesting comment, because it's almost like the 4th and 2 or the 4th and 1. He goes empty set, which he does a lot, and it was an incomplete to McCaffrey for, it was either 1 or 2 yards. And if he had just lined up and just given the ball to Mason, he's probably getting that. I've never seen a coach that throws the ball so much just to get 2 or 3 yards I agree. Remember, we can't be hypocritical here. Kyle is a great run scheme play caller. Okay, then at the most critical moments of games and Super Bowls and playoffs and meaningful games, why is this great play caller that schemes up running plays throw the ball? Ask yourself that, for those of you that are Kyle disciples and don't think that he can do anything wrong. Just ask yourself that. Why does he always throw the ball on short yardage?
Well, yeah, I think there's sometimes I think sometimes when it's 3rd and 2, he doesn't. He'll run if he's going to go for it on 4th down. If he doesn't make it, he'll go back, 2 runs in a row. But your point is well taken. I think, to me, I thought the decision to go with Allen, guy, I didn't realize he had a splint on his left finger, which, holding the ball is a little difficult. I don't know why you wouldn't give when in doubt, always go with the better athlete.
Yeah.
The better athlete gives you when you're behind the 8 ball, so to speak, you're not going to get it by going with, let's go with a little bit more experience in the offense than the upside athletic ability that Dobbs. I saw plenty of opportunities for Allen to run for first downs today, and he didn't take it because he's not.
Yeah. Not athletic.
And the fact that he has not played a game in 3 years. Dobbs played, 6-8 games last year, started or more? He started several for Arizona to start the season. Then he got traded to Minnesota, and he started like 4 games there. Look, Dobbs, you cannot tell me that anything you do, I don't care what your profession is, if you haven't done it for 3 years and you go back to doing it, you're not going to be like day one, feel the same. It's not going to be the same. You're going to have, everything's going to feel a little bit slower. Oh my gosh, the Titans beat the Texans today?
Yeah. Well, nobody in the media asked Kyle why he chose Allen over Dobbs. I would speculate that it's because he practices better and he knows Kyle's system better.
That's it. Of course, it's it.
Where Dobbs is a guy that when the play doesn't work, and let's be real, Kyle's plays haven't been working lately, he can improvise. And like you said, Dan, if the field is wide open and they're playing man-to-man, there's 8 to 10 free yards every single time. And isn't that about winning the game? Again, I go back to that quote. He wants to win the play, not the game. Dobbs, when he went to Minnesota especially, was a pretty damn good quarterback. He made a lot of improvisational plays with his feet, and he's got a pretty good arm. So I didn't understand that. To me, and I think most people, just the eye test again that I always preach, Dobbs is the better quarterback. And for Kyle to go with Allen, again, just running into that damn ego again. Well, he runs my system better. Okay, dude.
Yep. I'll tell you, despite as awful as they are, nobody wants to run away with the NFC West. The Cardinals are now 6-5. Seattle's 6-5. And you can't tell me both those teams are not going to lose at least 2 more games. And the Rams
put up the schedules. You'll see who plays. I think tonight a big thing is if the Rams somehow beat the Eagles, everyone has the tiebreaker over us because our schedule against the NFC West is so bad.
Well, the thing is, Lou, everybody can finish 3-3. The Niners have to win their next 2 against the Rams and Cardinals to have 1 loss and they're done. I agree. But if they go 3-3, Arizona's 2-1, they still got to play the Rams twice, I believe. No, they got to play everybody once. They got to play the Niners the last game. I'll have to pull up their schedules and see what Arizona's remaining schedule is. And I'll have to look. You know what? Let me just do this.
Arizona has a pretty easy schedule. I think we went over a week ago.
I think they do.
They have one more tough game.
It's definitely easier than the Niners schedule for sure.
But again, we watched the NFL. Tennessee beats Houston today. Is Arizona such a top team that they can't lose to crappy teams? Seriously.
No.
Anything can happen. And they've never – I mean, the likelihood is that they do win this. But let me look at Arizona's schedule. Next week is all right. Next week, Arizona's got the Vikings at Minnesota. That's probably a loss for Arizona. So they go to 6-6. And Seattle's at the Jets. That's not a gimme for the Seattle, even as bad as the Jets are.
That's a win. The Jets are the worst team
I don't lock that in as a win, Lou. They're on the road. New York is gonna, look, Carolina at home today almost beat the Chiefs. You can't just say that the Seattle Seahawks, who are not a good team, it's a guaranteed win to go.
My God, they just beat us and they just beat Arizona.
It doesn't matter, Lou.
All right. Well, I think Seattle's better now.
They are maybe, but it doesn't mean that the Jets won't get up for one game. Look, these guys on the Jets, they're a mess. But to say the Jets are gonna lose the rest of their games, I think they're gonna win one or two, and Seattle's the type of team that can lose to the Jets. That's all I'm saying. It's not a lock. It's not a lock. Who do the Rams have next week? The Rams are at New Orleans. Again, the Rams should win that game, but that's no lock. I just don't think there's a good team in the NFC West this year.
I just think things differently, I guess, from most Niner fans just want the Niners to find a way to get into the playoffs.
I don't think they're not going anywhere.
And see, that's my point. If the Niners, I don't think the Niners are winning the Super Bowl. I mean, no. I'm not going out on a limb there. So if they're not winning the Super Bowl, why make the playoffs? Like, and then people are going to say, well, you never know, you can have a chance. Okay, fine. But I look at how the Warriors are starting out this year, and I'll tell you why I'm using this analogy. The Warriors, like the Niners, for year after year after year, had deep playoff runs. I don't care what you say, that wear and tears on you when you're playing so many more games and are so beat up physically. The Warriors, to me, are off to a pretty good start because for once, their season ended early. They're fresh. They got 6 to 8 weeks more off that they haven't had in a long time. And let's see if it's sustainable. I don't know, but they're fresh. I've told Dan this off the air. Curry's moving around like he's 25, 27 years old. They look fresh because they didn't play an extra 20 to 25 games. The Niners have played a lot of football in the last 5 years. They've gone in deep into playoffs, playing a lot of physical games. A lot of their veterans are really beat up. If they do make the playoffs and they win a playoff game and maybe go to a second playoff game, great. That'll be a week of excitement because we win in the wild card. But then we get smoked by Detroit or smoked by Green Bay in the second round, and we'll have another shitty draft position, and we'll have another 2 games of tread on the tires.
I agree with that 100%, but the players don't think that way.
I get it. I'm not saying lose on purpose.
Right.
I'm just saying for the long-term goal of the Niners being back to being a Super Bowl contender, it would be better if they don't make the playoffs.
I've always loved that. I've always loved that analogy of with the players, the fans saying, "Let's just tank." What are you trying for to the players to win? Well, a lot of those players are, trying to keep their livelihood going. They don't want to go, well, I don't want to tank and bring this dude in that's going to take my job. I'm not going to do.
I get it.
So when you got guys out there that are, playing for their jobs, you got to realize there's probably 15 guys on every roster that maybe 20 every year that are not guaranteed a job the next year. That's almost half your roster because the NFL, that old saying, not for long. These guys' careers, look at some of these guys that we thought were going to be really good. Who was the Womack? What happened to Womack?
He's playing well for Indianapolis.
Okay, yeah, but he'd gone with the Niners because they brought in talent. So guys move around. Here's the thing that I'm looking at this schedule, guys. The next week, Arizona's got Minnesota. The Rams have New Orleans. But the week after that, it's the Rams have wait a minute, I did the wrong week. The Rams have Buffalo. Wait a minute. What the heck am I looking at? Looked at the wrong one. I'm looking at the Chargers. Hold on. Yeah, the Rams have Buffalo. Arizona and Seattle play again. So there's a loss for either Seattle or Arizona. So that's 2 weeks from now. And then Buffalo has the Rams. And then the third to last game, the Niners, when they play the Rams. So, yeah, they have the Rams, and Arizona has New England. They should win that. Then week 17, the Niners have Detroit, and the Rams are, gosh, where is this crazy schedule? Where are the Rams?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it might come down.
Do the Rams have a bye that week? No. Oh, it's a flex game. The Rams have Arizona. So they're going to beat each other up. There's a possibility still, guys, mathematically, with Arizona losing today. Now, I'm just pointing this out. I'm not saying this is the right thing. I'm just pointing out the facts that the Niners still have a shot, and I think they can still control their own destiny, possibly. I don't know how it works, but again, that's just to point the facts out that they could, as crappy as they are playing, as crappy as they look, they could still make the playoffs. So, and I guarantee you that's the mindset of the organization.
Absolutely.
Kyle is, but there's things lacking here. And I'm going to go back to this whole thing with Purdy. Purdy hasn't looked himself for 3-4 weeks. He hasn't thrown a ball over 20 yards. I think that shoulder. Remember a couple weeks ago, they won a game against, was it Tampa? Or we were talking about his passes look very like no crispness. They look very like they were floating. I think the shoulder, and I'm wondering, was it hit the shoulder, or is this have anything to do with the elbow?
Let's say Purdy can't play next week.
I don't care if he plays. I don't care if they have. They're losing next week. There's no way Buffalo's coming off of a bye. They're not going to beat Buffalo.
But would Kyle go back to Allen again after this game?
He shouldn't, but he will.
All right.
Lou, you're muted. I think you were trying to talk. Lou, you're muted.
Oh, I was muted. Tell you the truth, I didn't even know it was a Sunday night game against Buffalo. I mean, I'm worried Buffalo might destroy them, and then they may never recover.
I'll tell you what,
Buffalo's going to go all out. Place will be crazy, probably snow.
This would never happen, and the NFL would find the Niners and maybe take the ownership away from Jed. But the Niners, what they ought to really do is just say, you know what, we're going to take a bye too. We're just not going to show up. We're going to just stay home, and you guys have had a whole week of rest, plus Sunday night. We're traveling across the country again after Thanksgiving, after already coming to Green Bay. We're just going to take the day. We're just going to mail it in. But you know what? That would never, ever, ever happen. I'm just being obviously facetious, but its message says 49ers have a 16% chance to make the playoffs. What is Dan talking about? Well, that was 16% announced before the Seattle beat Arizona. I'll bet you it's not 16%. I bet it's higher than that. And I'm just telling you, look, I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're a good team this year. I'm just laying it out there that it's still a possibility for everybody who says there's no chance, simply because I don't think there's a good team in the NFC West. I really don't. Who scares you in the NFC West? I mean, they had Seattle is not good. They had Seattle beat. They blew it. They gave it up. That just tells you the Niners are probably worse.
Arizona's got to be so disappointed. I mean, they're coming off of a bye, and they have a real chance to take a stranglehold of the division, and they just laid a complete egg today. just laid a complete egg. So yeah, the division is average. So it's up. So the team that wins this division is going to be average, and it's going to be.
Yeah, this is the NFC South last year. This is the NFC West is like the NFC South. Didn't Tampa win the division last year, like 9-8, something like that? Yeah. I'm telling you, the winner of the NFC West, I bet you goes 9-8. Maybe a team wins 10, but they're going to have to take it. And I don't see. I mean, I could see the Niners. This would be pathetic, but I can still see the Niners winning the division if they went 9-8 if they won their division games against Cardinals and Rams.
When Stafford, Nakua, and Kyron Williams and Cooper Kupp are all healthy,
the Rams are the better team.
That is the better team in the division.
Yes,
how they laid it again. They laid their egg against Miami. Arizona laid their egg against Seattle. So nobody wants this division. It is completely mediocre. And that's leaving the door cracked open for the Niners, who have no right to even be thinking about the playoffs based on the play. They haven't beat a good team all year, and today they got smoked by a good team. So,
yeah, the Cardinals or Seattle just beat Arizona for the 6th straight game, and they play in a couple weeks down in Arizona. So I just think Seattle's I think the Niners season really was lost on the 3 division losses. They had fourth quarter leads. If they won 2 of those games, just 2 of those games, they'd be in control of the division. The Niners are not a good team. Let me just point out this, because some of you guys in the chat are saying, how this team's going to win. There's no chance for this or whatever. Look, I watched a lot of football today. The Dallas Cowboys rose up and beat Washington in Washington. Division games are different. Anything can happen. Dallas is horrible. They beat a decent Washington team who looks like they're starting to show their lack of experience. All I'll say about the Niners at the end of – what do we got here? What is this? Let me just get rid of this. All-Star.
What is that, a virus?
No.
Yeah, that just popped up.
Yeah, Giants fan, we did talk about Mason. It's a joke, and it's been a joke.
Anyway,
the thing about it, Dan, is if they had won all 3 of those playoff games, then we would have been even more. The fan base would have been even more conned and fooled that this was a really good team, because their record would say that they're 8-4 if they had won those 3 games. Okay, they would be 8-4,
or 8-5. No, they played 11, right? They're 5-6. They would be 7. What would they be?
7-4.
What are they? 5-6. They would be 7-4. Yeah.
Okay, so if they had won those 3 games and not lost them, then the fan base, for the most part, would say, this is a real good team. We got a great shot at winning the Super Bowl because we're 7-4.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you got to watch the games. You have to watch.
They're boring.
Yeah, you have to watch the consistency. Is the special teams better now than in week 1? No, it still sucks. Does Jake Brendel and Colton McKivitz give you any hope at center or right tackle compared to week 1? No, they still suck. Does the defensive coordinator, the Jeff Spicoli lookalike from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, does he give you hope from week 1? No, he doesn't. Is Kyle getting any better at his play calling? Is he being a little bit more aggressive? Is he changing things up? No, he's not. I mean, I can keep going on. I have about 8 more, but this is just not a good team week in and week out. Use your eyes and watch how they play. Watch how they don't play clean games. Watch how they keep having anywhere between 6 to 12 penalties every game. Watch how they're horrible in the red zone. All these things have been there all year. It's not like, they showed up one game and it was a fluke. They lost, or they lost 2 straight. Like last year, they lost 3 straight games. They pulled it together and they got on a hot streak. The Niners have played this way all year long. So if they had won those 3 games within the division, then it would have been even more of a con job than is going on right now. And there's still people out there right now, even at 5-6, that think this is a good team. And it's sad because you know why, guys? Because you're thinking with your heart, not your eyes.
Agree.
Bottom line, use your eyes.
Yep. I think it's, you're right, Los. It would be, what do they call that? False hope. False hope. I think
mirage.
It would be a mirage, exactly. And this team, the only thing I'll say this, and it's not to defend the Niners, it's just to point out that sometimes teams, and I don't see this happening because I think it's a dead year, but if the veterans like Kittle, McCaffrey, Debo, Bosa comes back, Trent Williams, and all of a sudden they have this like, look, guys, this is the end of our window. I don't think we can do it next year because we're older. And if they somehow say, look, we got 5 games left, we're 5-7, we got to win 5 in a row, plus 3 in the playoffs and 1 in the Super. And if everything went right and they got hot and things got, I don't think that happens. It's probably less than 5% chance that they actually get it together. Because to me, I think it's even more than mental. I think it's physical. They look like a beat team. They look like a beat team. And I just think you guys, I missed this one in the early season. I thought they were going to be better. I thought maybe they would come back after a Super Bowl loss, but I think that loss was a lot more deflating than we realize. And I think the defensive coordinator hired by Kyle was a joke. I think that was a horrible decision.
Yep.
I think the fact that Kyle is Kyle, which I'm starting to see, the fact that he doesn't play Jordan Mason tells me that Kyle is not as good as he's touted to be. You cannot sit there. I mean, Tom Brady said it right there on the broadcast today. Look, Kyle is, to me, Kyle is movable. Yeah. I defended him before. I'm not defending him anymore. He's stubborn. He doesn't run the 2-minute offense. He went with Brandon Allen. Look, he still thinks
overrated. He still thinks Kyle Juszczyk is a difference maker and keeps him on the field a lot. I mean,
he doesn't go with the athletes. Why not put Mason in the backfield and put McCaffrey in a slot, or put him out as a receiver? Put your best athletes on the field. See what happens, Kyle.
That's the roster politics that I've talked about with Kyle, not putting the best players onto the field. But a lot of the topic is going to be about Kyle moving forward. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'll say this right now. I think John Lynch is leaving after this year, not because he's going to get fired. I think he's had his run. I think he wants to enjoy his nice, comfortable life in San Diego. He was making a lot of money as a Fox analyst before, maybe the same, if not more, than what he's making now. He had a great run. He helped build this team into, a very relevant powerhouse. They should have 2 Super Bowls by now. But I think Lynch is burned out, and I think he'll leave the team. And that'll be interesting to see that if Kyle does stay, because Kyle, remember, people forget this. Lynch didn't hire Kyle. Kyle hired Lynch.
Yeah, the other way.
Which is very unusual. Usually the GM fires the coach. This may be one of the few times where the coach could say, I want to fire the GM. I don't think that'll happen. They're very close. But I think Lynch, you heard it here, I'm saying it now. I think Lynch will leave after this year.
Good point. We'll mark that down.
Lou, I completely agree with you. He's going to do the Bob Myers because he sees the window is closed. Yeah. Let's go somewhere else and not have to worry about that. He's
good analogy.
Smart move.
Good point.
Agree.
What do you think of this final? What do you think of this comment up here by 49er Media? Do you think Kyle was calling some of the defensive plays? I saw his mic down talking when we were on defense.
I agree. I think Kyle's a very egotistical guy. And last year when Wilkes was making some calls that he didn't agree with, he would take off his headset. And, Kyle wants to run everything. And that's one of the biggest problems that I've brought up for so long about Kyle is he's power hungry. He wants to control everything.
Yeah.
And you can't. He wants to control the defense, the offense. He obviously doesn't give a shit about special teams, hasn't since he's been here. He has his best friend, or one of his best friends is the coordinator. He's got a lifetime security job as long as Kyle's here.
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't answer to anybody. York, Lynch, nobody. And that's part of the problem is nobody holds Kyle accountable. So, yeah, I agree, 49ers Media. I think he is making some defensive calls. So, if you're no wonder Belichick didn't want to come here. You think Belichick's going to want to – you think Belichick, a 7-time champion and one of the best defensive coordinators in the history of football, is going to listen to what Kyle has to say about defense? No. And why didn't Brady come here? Same reason, guys. Put the 2 and 2 together. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, two of the greatest to ever do it, had opportunities to come here, and they didn't. Why? Ask yourself that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here. Lou, give us your final word for the day.
I think the season's over. I mean, I'm hoping Dan is right that somehow they can get lucky, but mentally, I think this team is done. I saw today after mistakes, they just weren't there. And I think after they get destroyed next Sunday night in Buffalo, the shit's going to hit the fan. And it's going to be hard to recuperate from that.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. NorCal Sports Network. Guys, in the comment section, give us a like of the show. Please like and subscribe. I guess most of you are watching on YouTube have subscribed, but over on X, come on over to YouTube, give us a subscribe. Really appreciate it. I'm going to head on over to
Hey, Dan, I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really enjoy your short videos, Dan. Really enjoy them.
Oh, thanks.
Well done.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right, Lou. For Lou, for Los, for Loss. That's the 49ers. Lou, Los, and Loss today. This is NorCal Sports saying so long. Have yourself a great rest of your Sunday. And some of you guys may have the week off. Enjoy Thanksgiving holiday. But we'll see you here on NorCal Sports later on in the week. Take care, everybody.